Okay, so welcome everybody. I hope you're all well. Lovely to see you all. So this is my first teaching, so I thought what I would do is share with you something that I discovered that was actually the whole core of my master's in mindfulness project that I finished last year. So I graduated last June. And I made a few discoveries about, in particular, the loving kindness practice and compassion and empathy. So I just thought I'd share that with you, as that's something that is kind of still on my mind. As every time I do the loving kindness practice, I'm very motivated to do it, and I hope that some of the things that I share with you will help your motivation to do this practice too. So I'm going to hopefully share my screen. And there you are, you can probably see your faces now. And I'll just share this practice, this presentation. Okay, so so we know from our the training that we've had so far in mindfulness, and if you've done the compassion training as well, with Paul Gilbert talking about the three circles of the drive and the threat and the soothing systems that we have, and how we want to try and create some balance and shift ourselves into this soothing system. So when I was starting out on this journey of the mindfulness project, I came across, as I was working with family carers, and I noticed how much they were taking on the pain of the person that they were caring for. And this added to their stress and their distress. And you could say that from the research that I did, that they very much were suffering from compassion fatigue. That's a well-known term, I think, in healthcare, this compassion fatigue of looking after people that are sick. And I discovered this amazing project. I actually went to see her at Oxford University. It's a lady called Tanya Singer, who's a German neuroscientist. And she wanted to understand what was going on behind our practices in mindfulness. And she also was fascinated by our response to empathy and this pain that we feel when we empathize with others. So what she discovered was that watching somebody suffer actually activates some of the same brain areas as experiencing pain yourself. And she said, you can see in that diagram where they overlap. And she said that the overlap is the root of empathy. And so when people are watching other people in pain, especially if this is an ongoing basis, their brains think that they're suffering from the pain too, even though their bodies aren't. So she conducted this experiment with a well-known monk called Mathieu Ricard, who some of you may have heard of. And what she did was she put him in an MRI scanner, and before he went in, she showed him some pictures of some children in distress, and she asked him to sort of meditate on them. So she put him in the scanner because she wanted to understand what was going on in his brain while he was meditating. So to begin with, it was exactly, like the photos that I've just showed you, with his own pain center in the brain activated. And then it suddenly changed. After a few moments, it changed, and his soothing system in the brain started to activate, and the pain center deactivated. And she asked him what he was doing, and he said that he couldn't bear thinking about the pain of these children anymore and the way they were living. And so he switched to his usual loving kindness practice, which was he was just sending these children love. So Tanya saw firsthand how the activity in the brain shifted. So this is a diagram that she came up with the response to empathy. So when we see somebody suffering or in any way, we have two choices. But until we kind of use our mindfulness to become aware of this, we don't really understand what's happening. So often, especially if you're seeing somebody that you love not very well, we have this empathic distress where we feel the pain. And if you look at the chart on the right with the in the blue, and it says that it does have a negative feeling, negative feelings and stress. It leads to burnout and poor health. And this is what I was actually seeing in the carers with the subject of my study. And she said, if we can, as like Mathieu Ricard did, if we can change this around, and it's almost like saying, well, it's your pain, it's not my pain, but I'm sending you love. It switches to the compassion side where we have more positive feelings and our health improves and the stress goes down. So she did this amazing experiment. You might want to look into it. I can send anybody the link that is interested. Called the Research Project, which is the Resource Project, sorry. And she took some 160 participants over a couple of years, and she broke down different of the typical practices that we have in our mindfulness courses, because as long as like the MBLC, there's also MBSR and MBCT, and they all seem to have the body scan, focusing on breath, loving kindness, and also observing thoughts or observing the undercurrent as we know it in the MBLC. So after intensely studying this, and so she would give certain groups of people just the body scan to do, and other groups of people just loving kindness to do, and others she combined, and she also had a control group. And she tests after 9 months of these people doing these practices on pretty much a daily basis. She regularly put them in the MRI scanner to see what activity was going on in their brains, and also psychometric testing and things like that, so she could get a real picture of what was happening. So I thought this was really interesting. These are the results that she came up with, that the body scan obviously has the greatest impact on body awareness because we're focused on the body. It decreased the number of thoughts and the tendency to be distracted by thought, and increased being sort of more present. Breath was very similar, so that increased body awareness and focus, sensations of warmth, and also decreased the tendency to be distracted by thoughts. But the loving kindness practice, she noticed, had the greatest impact on increasing positive thoughts. I think she said it was the only practice that actually proved that they were like positively linked to positive thoughts of self and of others. So it increased self-compassion and self-care, as well as increasing the body awareness. So they all had something something similar. And observing the undercurrent, observing the thoughts, just increased awareness of thought. So these are the things that she's kind of scientifically proven that go on when we're doing these practices. So I thought it's quite interesting to be aware of that. But it's the loving kindness one that I'm actually focusing on. So here are some quotes here I've taken from studies which I used in my study. And I think it's well known from Kabat-Zinn how mindfulness reduces stress. Siegel and Williams provided the evidence about it reducing depression. And Tanya Singer and her team also noticed this increase in body awareness and the decrease in thought content. So once we become aware of our thoughts, she said they do seem to decrease over time. But it was the compassion practices that she found that were most interesting. because of this increase in positive thoughts, the reduction of ruminative negative thoughts. And this was particularly important for the carers that I was teaching, was this increased sense of purpose in life, because they'd all kind of got a bit lost in their caring role and lost this sense of self, and it helped sort of build their resilience. Some of the results of my study were fairly similar to this. And also importantly, increasing the ability to cope with unpleasant emotions. So it's under kind of continued compassion practices, enable us to become more resilient. So here's some facts about the loving kindness practice, because this is the practice we're going to do, obviously, today. So some of you may know already that it's derived from Buddhism. 2,500 years ago at least, and we know it's a practice on cultivating this heartfelt wish for others to be free from suffering, but also we bring ourselves into this practice. And that the recent research has found that the loving kindness practice actually activates the neural networks of love and positive emotions, even in distressing situations. And she also noticed after the 9 months that there were increased levels of oxytocin, dopamine, and opiates. After 9 months, she noticed increases in levels of opiates in these participants. So long-term practice is very beneficial for us. So it's not only beneficial for sending these kind wishes to other people, but it's also benefiting ourselves. So it's activating that reward system, this soothing system. And another interesting fact was, because we're used to doing these 20, 30-minute practices, and another study revealed that it was just 7 minutes of the practice actually started to induce these positive feelings. And similarly, when I was conducting my study for the carers, I noticed I was just doing 10-minute practices for them because they didn't really have time to do long practices. And I still had good results just from a short practice. So here's a long list. I'm not going to read them all out, but it's quite interesting to see that more evidence has come out over the last year or two where the loving kindness practice and compassion practices have been studied. And the results are showing not just the few benefits that I described earlier, but this whole list of benefits in our bodies, in our minds, and actually in the neuroplasticity of the brain. So it's changing the brain. And interestingly, it has a positive impact on our health, physical health. It's decreasing migraines, decreasing chronic pain, helping out with schizophrenic disorders. So there's a whole list here. So she, let's go on to the next slide. So because in relation to caring for another and having this empathic response, she noticed that having the negative, taking on the pain of another, activates the pain system. She renamed compassion fatigue to empathic stress fatigue, saying that you can't actually be tired of compassion, you can't be fatigued of compassion, but you can be fatigued of empathy if you're taking on the pain. So this was something that I found very interesting in this study. And so when I now do the loving kindness practice, my motivation is to if I've got somebody in mind that I'm sending my loving kindness wishes to, I just check in with how I'm feeling about them and what my response to the empathy is. So there's somebody today, I've just found out today that somebody's very sick, and so I was aware of sort of feeling that pain and then noticing it switch as I started to send them kind wishes instead of feeling the pain. So what we're actually doing is activating the soothing system. And so this has helped me with my motivation. Stop sharing now. In doing this practice. So I just wanted to share that with you. So we'll move into the practice now, and then we'll see how it goes afterwards. So I'm just going to mute everybody again for the practice. Okay. So we're going to the loving kindness practice. So settling into your posture. Feeling gravity pulling your body downwards and noticing all the pressure points your body has against the ground. Finding the breath in the body. And notice how your breathing is right now in this moment. Where your body's breathing. Is it high in the chest? Is it in the belly? Is it rapid, smooth, jagged? So just noticing how your breath is right now. And then deepening, lengthening and equalizing the in-breath and out-breath. So we're taking control of the breathing. Noticing how that feels to take control of the breathing. And we can equalize the in-breath and the out-breath by counting. Counting in for 3 or 4 and out for 3 or 4. Or saying phrases like I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. Or just a felt sense. Keeping the mind with the breath. And noticing how it feels as we return the responsibility of breathing back to our bodies, allowing the body to breathe itself. And then noticing once more how your body's breathing for itself. And then finding the point where you're breathing in your body, and then expanding your awareness into your whole body as we lengthen the spine, soften the shoulders, and find a posture that has a sense of ease and kindness for this body. And we'll just revisit our motivation and intention as we do the loving kindness practice. Recognizing that it's a practice that benefits ourselves and others. And maybe having an intention to notice whether we're feeling the pain of another. And if we can let that go and be free to send them our heartfelt wishes. So now exploring the whole body, noticing how the whole body is feeling. Noticing the wide range of sensations the body has. The contrasting sensations the body has. There might be tightness in one area and softness in another. There may even be pain and relaxedness sitting side by side. There may be coolness, warmth, tingling. So just becoming aware of all the sensations and getting a felt sense of this body sitting here. And noticing the part of your body and all its sensations that has contact with the ground, either through your feet, your legs, the chair, cushion. And becoming aware of your body surrounded by space. All the parts of your body surrounded by space. And noticing how that feels. Checking in with any emotions and your mood right now. Noticing any complexity of emotions sitting behind your mood. And any contrasting emotions sitting behind your mood. And then noticing the body resting on the ground, supported by the ground unconditionally. And let's invite the mind to come to rest in the body. Bringing in your support of breath or sound, or the body if that's your preference. Just bringing in your preferred support. To gently rest your mind on your support as we do our practice. With a sense of resting. So in this practice, all we're going to be doing is resting. Just keeping 20% soft focus on our support. And then the other thing we'll be doing is be sending loving kindness wishes to those that we care about. So I'd like you to invite you to bring someone to mind that you have the intention of sending these kind wishes to. And maybe if some people are suffering too much, you may find that if you're finding that too painful, and it's too early to perhaps analyze where your response to empathy sits, then maybe choose a less complicated relationship. So just give you a moment to allow some people or a person that you have naturally kind wishes towards to come into your mind, getting a felt sense of them, bringing the detail as if they're sitting in front of you right now. And noticing how that feels to have them there with you. And becoming aware that everybody has their suffering in life of some form or another. So recognizing how you would wish this person well in their lives. And we'll go through the traditional phrases, and then I'll allow some space for you to say your own more appropriate phrases for these people, these loved ones. So, may you be well. May you be well. May you be happy. May you live your life with ease. May you live your life with ease. And may you be free from suffering. May you be free from suffering. I'll just invite you to bring in your own phrases in your minds, this heartfelt sense of these kind wishes towards these loved ones. Noticing how you're feeling, noticing any resistance, any reactions in the body. And coming back to your support anytime you need to. And then bringing ourselves into this practice, imagining we're sitting beside our loved one and the kind wishes they would send to us. Just the same. And we'll say the phrases, may we be happy. May we be well. May we live our lives with ease. And may we be free from suffering. And then inviting any other phrases that are appropriate for you as well as your loved one. And then allowing the image of this loved one to gently dissolve in the heart. It's not like they're going away or we're cutting them off. We're just bringing them into the heart. As you become aware of your body supported by the ground and surrounded by space, we invite these kind wishes for ourselves. May I be well. May I be happy. May I live my life with ease. And may I be free from suffering. And there may be something that's appropriate for you right now. A phrase that your best friend or your loved ones would say to you if you need strength or courage. Maybe wishing that for yourself. And then just letting the practice go. Gently releasing the kindness practice. To return to the feet of the body, resting on the ground. Inviting the mind to rest in the body with a sense of nothing to do. Giving ourselves permission to just be. And allow ourselves to just rest, just for a few minutes. So that's something to take with you. Maybe every time you practice the loving kindness practice, you'll have a slightly different motivation and intention. It's a lovely, lovely one to do, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for sharing with me. I wish you all very well, and I shall see you soon.
Thank you, Jacky.